That's great. That's great. Good afternoon, Ernest Duru. It's a pleasure meeting with you, brother. I've been
Thank
looking
you.
forward to this day for a very long time now.
Thank you,
So,
Mr. Sekwan.
absolutely, absolutely, man. I must say, like, reading your book was truly amazing because I've learned so much in terms of having a better understanding about spirituality. Your book definitely goes over the basic sense of everything. And I must say, like, it truly is an eye opener, and I recommend everybody do read that book because the amount of information that was in that book will honestly make you start to question things. And when you start to question things, that's when your mind becomes open. And you have to do those things in order to have a better understanding of seeking truth within this world, to know what is going on and how to better yourself as well. So, without further ado, again, everybody, I'd like to introduce you guys Ernest Duru, the man who wrote the book called The End Times, The Cosmic Clock. Did I get it
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Do you
Yeah,
have
man.
a copy of the book? Do you have
Yes,
the
I
copy of
do.
the book? Let's see. Let's see the copy of the book.
I brought it. I actually purchased it on Kindle. On Kindle,
Okay.
you have a copy.
Okay. Let me show the book
Put it up
here.
some more. Put it up some more. Okay, so that's the book itself, The Cosmic Clock. And I recommend that everybody do get that book as well. It's, I believe, $9 on Kindle, and I believe like $15 or more on it's on Amazon as well. You can purchase the hard copy on Kindle. But the book is definitely a great read, definitely makes you question a lot of things and open your mind as well. And I recommend that people do get that book as well. Not just people who are spiritual, but also people who are religious, people who wants to understand what is going on within this world. People wants to have a greater understanding on every aspects as well. Should read that book. So yeah, Ernest, man, and I think I've talked enough. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sekwan. My name is Ernest Duru, just as you just introduced me. Uh, I came from Nigeria, Nigerian immigrants, but reside currently in Romeoville, Illinois, United States.
Mm-hmm.
So, in Nigeria, I actually studied philosophy and mass communication, and I have devoted my time in reading books on spirituality, which actually made me to become more inclined to living a spiritual life. So I currently work as a senior marketing director in World Financial Group. I actually have a team of professionals who are inclined to helping people protect themselves financially and otherwise. So I took some time to write books, especially spiritual books, and not necessarily because I wanted to write them, but because I'm inspired to write some of these books. That's why I decided to write the End Time Cosmic Clock, reawakening our consciousness to an imminent divine final judgment. Thank you, Mr. Sekwan.
Absolutely, yeah, it's a great pleasure again. Yes, definitely emphasize reawaken your consciousness because people need to be more conscious of what's going on in this world as well. And there's a couple of questions that I definitely want to pretty much like talk to you about in that hindsight. And first question I want to pretty much ask you in the breakdown of other questions is pretty much like, what is the purpose of humans? Okay, who am I? Where do I come from? Why am I here? What am I here to do? And where am I going?
Do you want me to answer the question or the question at once or one at a time?
One at a time.
Thank you. What's the first question?
But sure. What is the purpose of human life?
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Second, I will tell you that most people living in the world today do not know the reason why they are on earth. They just happen to find themselves on earth, and then they follow suit. Whatever every other person is doing, they are doing it. They do not know where they come from, neither do they know where they are going. So, but how can somebody, a human spirit, especially human spirit endowed with intellect and spirit, would just afford to live such a life without knowing where he came from and what he is doing here and where he's going? So that boils down to your question, what is the purpose of human life? This question will take us to talking about the human spirit right from the time it started the journey from the spiritual world down to this place.
True that.
Yeah. So we, all the human spirit you are seeing today on earth, we left our spiritual home, the paradise, like a spirit gem. You know what is called gem? Like a seed you sow in the ground so that it can germinate. So
Mm.
basically, all of us, we are sown on earth like a seed, because the time we left, we were unconscious. So the goal of coming to the earth is to gain consciousness so that we will be able to go back to our spiritual world where we can live consciously. So while we were in the spiritual world, we were unconscious, but there is a desire in us to do what? To serve the light, to live consciously. So, and there is no way we can proceed upwards, because there is the law that made in such a way that the only way we can develop is to come downwards. That is why the material creation was made by the Almighty, so that it can become a kind of a field where these unconscious spirit gems will be able to develop, gain consciousness, and then come back again to the spiritual world where they can now live in consciousness while serving the light. So basically, we left the spiritual world as unconscious spirit gems. We came here in order to gain consciousness. And how do we gain that consciousness? By very living these experiences we are seeing every day.
True
So
that.
that you see the experiences of happiness, you see sadness, you see wants, you see needs which you cannot meet, you see friends, you see betrayals, you see anger, you see frustrations. These are the experiences we are meant to pass through in order to gain consciousness and become strong, so that if we win by living according to the will of God, we will now ascend to the region of light, to the paradise where we live consciously and serve the Almighty. That is the reason why we are here on earth.
Absolutely. You answer all the question in one.
Thank you.
And you answer all other questions that I wanted to ask more about, be what is a spiritual germs. And when I was reading your book, I pretty much grasped the concept already in the fact that we're pretty much in school. Every single one of us is in school, and we have to go through experience of learning. You know how in school they have history class and math class, science class. It's the same thing with us through life. Life teaches us new experiences that we have to learn and grow from, right? And if you don't learn from those experiences, what happens is that you will put in a position where you're going to relive those experiences because, well, you haven't learned from those mistakes. Okay.
Yes, let me come in here. You are very correct.
Mm-hmm.
So, in other words, we can equally liken our life here on earth like school, just you just mentioned. Then it's you in school. If you do not pass, then it's not necessary to promote you to another stage. So that is why you have to relive it back again. So you are correct. If you can liken the earth life as a school, you are very correct in that. Go ahead.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So within this book, there was a couple of questions I pretty much wrote down because I wanted to ask you these questions as well, because these were some of the questions that came to my head. And one of the parts in the book, you mentioned the fact that, the cosmic clock exists first in order for the earthly clock to exist. Can you please explain more about that?
Yeah, the cosmic clock has been in existence from the time immemorial, from the time the creation came into being. So it is basically what regulates the cosmic world.
Mm.
In the first interview I had with Mr. Logan Crawford, I explained more about the cosmic clock, which I would like to throw more light.
Sure, go
So,
ahead.
in order to do that, I will want us to go a little bit deeper into understanding the creation. Because if you don't understand creation, you not understand where the clock came into play.
Mm-hmm.
So the creation you see, the material creation, that's the one I'm talking about. The material creation is made up of three universes, three gigantic universes. The Earth you are seeing today currently is situated on one of the universes called Ephesus.
Mm.
So if you recall, there are other six universes apart from the Earth. Then if you recall, in the book of Revelation, where it was written that John wrote 7 letters to 7 churches.
Mm-hmm.
So these 7 letters John wrote to 7 churches were a kind of an allegory. It was not necessarily a church situated on earth. The church was used in place of universe in that. George, John addressed 7 universes, 7 human spirits living in these 7 universes. The human spirit living in these 7 universes. These are the people John addressed his letters. So these 7 universes are working and moving in a cycle. They are just like in a cycle, in a clock, round.
Mm.
So there is a major clock that regulates, just as I will always say, whatever you see on earth, there is already a prototype of that in the beyond, in the spiritual world. So the clock we are seeing today is a kind of a copy of the cosmic clock, which regulates these 7 universes that rotates. And at a certain point in life, something happens to a particular universe. So
Really?
our own is called Ephesus. That is with all its galaxies, the sun and the moon and other planetary bodies. So it is very, very huge. And that is what the cosmic clock regulates. So the cosmic clock I'm talking about is not the clock here. It is the clock that is actually existing in the spiritual world, which makes sure that everything happens according to the will of God at the time when it's supposed to happen.
True that. Yeah, man, you broke that down very well, and it gave me a greater understanding now. Because for me, I always know for a fact that before anything happens physically, it has to happen spiritually as well. First and
Exactly.
foremost, you can't like it's a form of like manifestation. When you pray, is also a form of spiritual prayer as well too. You're praying into the universe, and then it's gonna come back down to you afterwards. So another thing that I want to mention is the fact of the different laws, right? That you pretty much talked about that existed. Can you elaborate more than that?
Yes, there are many people living today who have no idea about the law that is actually the law that's actually enfolded them. There are these basic spiritual laws that regulates everything we do,
Mm,
that make sure that things are done according to the will of God, because we can actually call these laws the will of God. First of all, there are many terminologies you can use for the law. Either you can call them the divine laws,
mm-hmm,
or you can call them the natural laws.
mm-hmm.
But most of us do not pay attention to these laws. So let's talk about one of these laws, the law of homogeneity. The law of homogeneity is like what they call the birds of a feather flock together. You can liken them with that kind of saying, a birds of a feather flock together. It makes it possible that in creation, both in this physical world and in the spiritual world, things of like always congregate together. They come together. That is why you see things naturally go their way. If you are a kind of let's take for instance, you are in a certain profession on earth, like a medical doctor, you will see that you are inclined to hang around with people of your kind. If
Mm,
you are a thief, you will gradually be attracted to somebody who share that kind of propensity. If
gotcha.
you are somebody who love to party around, you will you will naturally be drawn to a neighborhood and friends who do nothing but like to do that stuff you like.
Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
this law is very, very effective here on earth as well as in the spiritual world. The
Mm-hmm.
second law we are talking about is the law of reciprocal action. The law of, or you call it reciprocity. What that law means is that what a man sows, that shall he reap. The law talks about that if you give what is wrong, if you do what is wrong, wrong thing will definitely come back to you. If
That's a
you
fact.
do what is right, then right thing will definitely come back to you.
Mm-hmm.
That is why when people do not know the effectiveness of this law and they don't even know that this law, they are enfolded in this law, they go are about living recklessly.
Mm-hmm.
So the law of reciprocal action is what makes it such a way that good things comes to people who are good, and bad things also come to people who are bad. But in physical world, it might be as though this law is not in effect, because you see that some people who are bad tends to progress, whereas some people whom you think that are good are struggling.
Yeah.
So all these things is because we are judging physically. We are making judgment on what we say. We do not know what we do not see. So
Mm-hmm.
that is why these judgments should actually be kept aside. So the thing there is that this law is very, very effective. The next law we can talk about is the law of what? Gravity. The law of gravity makes in such a way that things that are light naturally will flow, just like you see a slight feather. You leave it, and the slight feather soars upwards
True
because
that.
it's very light. And anything that is dense has this power to do what? To sink. It has to go down.
Mm-hmm.
So in physical world, this earth is a place that's actually very, very conducive for people to mature. That is why we all come here. This law, even though it is effective here, is not as effective as it is in the spiritual world. Because in the earth, you have the ability or the privilege to exist with somebody. If you're a bad guy or a bad person, to
Mm-hmm.
exist with somebody who is good. And through the person who is good, you have the power to do what? To change. You'll be able to see what is good from somebody and change. But the moment you pass on and you are a bad person, you will immediately be attracted to a certain world where the people who actually behave like you live. If you are a thief, for example, you will be drawn to a place like in United States, in the spiritual world. The only people that live there are thieves. And it's very funny. You can hardly find somebody who is doing what is good that can inspire you to change. That is a situation, a state of hell. You see people do something, keep robbing each other, and then living life that is very, very ignoble and unworthy of a human spirit. So we are going to come to this area, but this law are very effective as they are here in physical world as well as in the spiritual world.
Wow, man, that that was truly amazing. Very impactful as well because when you were speaking about it, a couple of things that really resonate with me is that you are who you attract. So if you are somebody that is a thief, you are going to attract other people with that same type of energy. And what it all boils down to is the energy that you give. If you give bad energy, you're going to receive that energy back, right? If you give good energy, you're going to receive good energy back. And this is just for me personally. That's why I always do my best to just give and give good energy as much as people because I want it back. It's the greatest feeling ever knowing that you're giving people positivity as well due to the fact of the type of world in which we're living in. Because the world we're living in is very chaotic as well. It's easy to do bad than it is to be good. You see?
You are correct. You are
Yes.
correct. One, the reason is because do whatever it takes to be doing what is right.
Mm-hmm.
You are definitely going to receive your reward. There is nothing, anybody, there is nothing you sow in creation that you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to get back because you are enfolded. When I use the word enfold, I know what I mean. You are wrapped in this law that you cannot escape.
True.
You breathe in, you breathe in the law. You exhale the law. So
Mm-hmm.
you are in the law, you are sown in the law. Just imagine somebody who is soaked in the water. There is no way you will not be soaked.
Yeah.
Yeah, your part of your body is soaked. So
Mm-hmm.
do whatever it takes to be positive and do what is right. And you see that gradually, even if you do not gain it here, you are definitely going to gain it when you pass on to the
True.
life to come. And the
True.
life to come is the real life, the one we have life, even though it is important, but it is not because it is very perishable. The other one does not perish. And that is the one we must pay attention in order to secure while we live here on earth.
Yeah. Because that life is eternal life.
Exactly.
This life is just temporary, you know, because at the end of the day, we are not our bodies. We are just spirits going through this physical existence. That's it. And we're just supposed to be learning as we go through this existence and grow as we are going through this existence. And another that with that being said, there's another question I pretty much wanted to ask you as well, because you mentioned the fact that when you do bad, you will receive that bad back, and that's a form of karmic debt. So, when you want to talk more about karmic debt, because you definitely mentioned that in the book as well that you wrote.
Yes, karma is a law of sowing and reaping. You
Mm-hmm.
can also call it a law of retribution.
Mm-hmm.
And then it is designated in this way that whatever a man sows, that he shall reap. That is just the karma. It is a very effective law that pervades the creation. And then in the law of karma makes in such a way that even if you are sowing something, just take for instance, if you sow a corn, sometimes the corn will not germinate immediately. It
Mm-hmm.
will take a while before the corn germinates, and then you'll be able to reap the what? The eye of the corn from your farm. In
Mm-hmm.
the same way, we sow things through different ways, three different ways, through our thoughts, through our words, and through our actions,
True that.
which is our deeds. So we do these things, we keep sowing. The word, some people think that thoughts are free. Thoughts are not free. So the thought you emit actually goes out to attract bad thoughts. If it is a bad thought, if it's a good thought, it's also come with a benevolent thought towards you. So in the same way, the word you speak out, if it is a word of curse, if it is a word of a bad word, you will also read that, and actions. So that is why you see today, when you find out that some children in the hospital are sick, and then they were just born and they were sick, and you are asking yourself, what could this side have done to
Mm-hmm.
have incurred this illness?
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing that happens in creation that is an accident. That
Mm-hmm.
child you are seeing is actually a new body, but an old soul in a new body.
Mm-hmm.
Before anybody comes to this earth, he is already aware of what is going to pass through.
Yes.
But as soon as the person is born, then he is spiritually blindfolded to realize all those things.
Yeah.
So the child that suffers, somebody that has an accident, somebody that just slumped and died, there are all these things are, or somebody who happens to incur sickness. These things are all ways we reap our karma. And the only way you can avoid reaping your karma is this: by doing what is right, thinking what is good, and speaking word of love to people.
True.
That is, just be positive, and then you'll be able to avoid and stop sowing. Because if you learn today that if you think something that is wrong, or say something that is bad, or do what is wrong too, that you are going to receive it back, then why do you continue doing it? Because if you keep doing it, you keep sowing, then there will not be an end to what you're going to reap.
True.
So you got to stop sowing in order to do what, not to reap what is wrong and what is bad, so that you'll be able to reap what is good by sowing what is good. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. You hit everything that I pretty much wanted to know more about. And like I said, this resonated with me so much because that's the path I've been on, is doing what is right the best that I can, and just also healing at the same time also. Because when you think bad, you're right, it will come back to you. And the question people always ask is that why is bad things happening to me? Well, first and foremost, you need to check yourself. You need to check your mind. What are the thoughts that you are putting in your mind on a daily basis? If you're putting in negative thoughts, that thought in of itself is like energy. It's like currency that you are channeling out into the universe, and then it's going to come back to you in a form of bad. So you have to be mindful of your thought. That's how I always recommend people to meditate, because in the form of meditation, you are calming yourself down and you're being more in control of the thoughts that you think. So if you're thinking bad thoughts, you can immediately stop it and then start thinking good thoughts instead.
Yeah, you're correct. Let me expand a little bit on this.
Sure,
Some
go
of
ahead.
some of the things that happen to us now on earth, some of these things are not actually something we saw in this present life. They are some of the things we have sown in our past earth lives. And now we are reaping them. It doesn't matter whether you are here or you are in the beyond or you have come back again 3 times. If you have sown something and that thing you have not paid for that thing must come back to you. It is linked to you until it is reaped,
Is
until you pay the last farthing, and then it falls away. That is why there is nothing as good as becoming conscious while you live on earth, so that you don't keep incurring unending debt.
true that. Is universal law. That's like the highest law of all laws. You can't get past that at all. That's the highest law. So you mentioned the fact of the watches in your book, and I've always heard about it. Even in the Bible, they speak about the watches. Can you elaborate more on, like, who are these watches that pretty much like watches over the planet?
Oh, the there are two ways in which I can talk about this. First
Sure.
of all, in my own book, when I use the word watchers, I use the word watchers in place of the laws of creation.
Mm,
Yes, that's what I used it in my book, meaning that there is nothing we do that can actually escape their knowledge. There is nothing we do. If you the way I illustrated in my book,
mm,
assume that there is somebody planted to watch over you, and after a time the person is going to publish your life to the public. The person is going to publish your life in the public. So imagine in such a situation, what will you do? What you are going to do is this: you are going to be very, very conscious of what you do. You
sure.
will not want to do what is wrong, because there will be a time when your life will be published to the public, and then they will know whom you truly are.
Mm-hmm.
So in this sense, the watchers are the laws of creation. These
Mm,
laws take into account everything you do and then be able to record them. There is nothing that escapes. The very thing you did right from the day you became very conscious and start living a life, everything is properly documented. And those things are going to be played back to you when you pass on, so that you can review your life on earth. Every single thing, both the things you have forgotten, there is everything in the storage of memory. It will never be wiped out. They are your life. That is why, if you want something that is good, just keep doing what is good. And then you'll be able to be happy when you review your life at the back at the long run. And if you continue to do what is wrong, I'm telling you, when you pass on and review your life, you'll be a very sad person. Then, and another one is that there are the guidance of every everybody on earth, including cities, states, countries.
Okay.
There are, you have a spirit guide that actually follows you all the time. Somebody who have actually lived
True.
this, yeah, who lived this life
True.
on earth, and then who have passed through the experiences you are passing. They are always the people that not just in our conscience to ask us not to do something that is bad we intend to do. They
Mm-hmm.
form a part of our conscience. They are called spirit guides.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want you to fall into the same errors they fell during their time on earth. They want you to live a good life, and they are assigned to you. They keep guiding you until when you pass on. The
True.
same thing, the same thing is with the cities, houses, homes, countries, and everywhere. There is a spirit guide that protects and guide everybody and everything in creation. The same thing you see the trees. That's why you see the nixes, the gnomes, and then all these things, all these elemental beings in the forest. They are guiding everything, even the water sprites. You see the water sprites, so the one they call mermaid. There
Mm.
are benevolent beings that are water sprites, and they appear in that form of mermaid. The people of the olden times, they always see some of these beings. And then, but the problem is that when the ignorant people start trying to worship them, then they now withdrew themselves from man. That's why we cannot see them anymore. But the people of the bygone days, they normally see these benevolent elementals guiding the nature. The same way they guide the nature, the same way they guide human beings, they guide also the cities and the state and country.
Yeah. It's nature.
Mm.
It's nature. And every single one of us have to realize too is that we are, you know, every soul do have like a spiritual guide assigned to them to make sure that they navigate life at a much better pace. We are not doing this alone. And the reason why I say that is because when you're about to make an action that you know that is bad, it's this conscious thought that come to your head and be like, do you really want to do that?
Exactly.
Do you really want to
Yes.
do that? Do you think that's a smart decision for you to do right there? Exactly. And
They will, the thoughts will always come. The nudge will always come gently. But when you
mhm,
start thinking, then the thoughts will now overshadow it and you go and commit, only to come back and regret.
yeah.
That's why you should always pay attention to that. That thought is what forms part of your intuition, part of your conscience.
hmm and that's also another form of being able to submit as well. You got to be able to submit to that higher self of you that's telling you what to do that is good and what not to do that is bad as well. Because if you don't, then you're going to constantly be beating yourself up internally as well.
You're correct.
Absolutely. You see, man, we on the same wave level. So one thing I resonate with you the most is you mentioned the fact of that within the book there are people out there, a majority of people out there, whereas they never stand up for truth, justice, and rights. And you know, I want you to elaborate a lot more on that. Like, why do you think that's not the case? Because for me, when I had my spiritual awakening, I wanted to learn more about the truth. And when I started to read a lot more books, I became more understanding and accepting of the certain things that happen within this world as well. And I know many times people say that the truth will set you free, but to me, like the truth make me free because I possess now another knowledge and still continue to possess knowledge in the future, to make myself whereas I cannot be controlled, because I'm on the journey of being a master of self, where I can master myself internally, externally. So why do you think that's the case where people, right, never want to go for the truth, the justice, and the rights?
I think basically it is as a result of ignorance.
Mm.
Ignorance is one of the reasons why people do what is wrong. If you recall, there is this guy, Socrates. He said that everybody, no, it's not Socrates. I think this person is Plato.
Plato?
Plato said that people do what is wrong because they are ignorant. If they know that what is right can actually get them what they are desiring by doing what is wrong, they will do what is right. So, in other words, what Plato is actually saying is that if you know that what you are trying to do will bring you happiness, sadness, or sorrow, you're not going to do that. But it is ignorance that made you to believe that what you are intending to do, the crime you are about to commit, can actually help you out and then make you happy. The money you want to steal from the government, the money you want to steal from your neighbor, the lies you are telling at your level will make you feel satisfied. So when you know that these things are not the way, you will do what is right. So majority of the people on earth today, they do not know more. And that is why this kind of enlightenment is good, so that people can now come to their senses and understand that the only thing that pays is what is right, justice. And then you know the beauty of it is that whatever you do, if it is justice, if you stand up for justice, wherever you stand up, at your own time, somebody will stand up for justice for you.
True.
But if you see where justice is being meted out and you say it's none of my business, you will find out that you are going to suffer too. Just think about what happened in a few years ago in South Africa when they were having this xenophobia and they were killing people and burning people on the streets.
Wow.
Majority of people gather around and start killing Nigerians on the streets, claiming that Nigerians is the problem they have. But I don't know. But the thing there is that if you are in a place where somebody is being killed and you did not do anything, you are going to receive it back too. A time will come and then you will be burnt the way the person is burnt, simply because you saw what is wrong, injustice, and you did not speak up. You saw what is wrong and you participated. You saw that this person is not right to kill a human being whom you did not give a life, and you went ahead to do what? To murder the person. Then you are going to be murdered too. That is, you receive the punishment here in physical world, or when you pass on, you are going to receive it. And another thing is this: if you do something to somebody, then you find out that you are going to cross path with the person again.
Really?
And when you cross back the person again, opportunity will be placed in such a way that what you did to that person, you will become at the receiving end, while the person becomes at the giving end.
Wow.
So, but the problem we have today is that we are nearing the time of the final judgment. When all these things will no longer take place, they have been taking place all this while. Just think about slave trades, slave master, and the slaveries, and the slaves. So, in this time around, many people who were slave masters in the about 400 years ago, or 300 years ago, or 200 years ago, they came back again in such a way that they reincarnated as Black people, whereas other people who lived a good life can also come to a point where they serve as their master. So that's why human spirits, the physical body you are seeing is just like a cloak. We are all one everywhere. Whether the person is a Chinese, or the person is a Black, the person is a white, we are all one. This is just a cloak we are wearing.
Exactly. That is true. We are not different. We are all one. Like that's why I always say like you're my spiritual brother, because I already knew it right from the back. Like the way your mindset and level of consciousness you possess, I was like, yeah, he's definitely tapped in onto that high level of consciousness as well. He's very aware, and ever since I've been getting to like know you, you have been teaching me a lot too, and like really how to better myself as a spirit. You know, while being within this physical existence right now, also, and one thing that you mentioned that resonate with me is the fact of when you don't do justice, well, when you don't fight for what is wrong when you're seeing it happen to somebody else, it made me question like, is that a form of another way of taking on someone's karmic debt? Is because you refuse to pretty much fight for what is right. So you also going to get punished for not speaking out on it.
Yeah, there is nothing that happens by accident. The word accident should not even be in the lexicon at all. Nothing happens by accident. Everything is guided. When you are watching when somebody is being treated unjustly, You are naturally placed in that particular spot in order to experience it so that you can rise up and then stand up for what is wrong.
Mm.
Not just let injustice pass. You have to find a way in order to correct and then let your voice be known. Let people know that you are against this, that this is outrightly wrong. Do not follow the crowd. The crowd is not always right. Remember, what did they do? The very crowd that were as shouting Hosanna, Hosanna of
Mm-hmm.
son of David. Here comes son of David.
Mm-hmm.
The same crowd, few years after, were as shouting, crucify him, crucify him,
Wow.
crucify him, crucify him. So do
Mm-hmm.
not follow the crowd. The only thing you got to know is be conscious and stand for what is right. When your conscience tells you that this is wrong,
Mm-hmm.
stand up for stand against it. When it is said this is right, fight for that because you are actually fighting for your own life. These are some of the experiences I spoke about earlier. That is the experiences we are here to have, so
Yeah.
that we can mature and be able to go back to home as
Yeah.
a mature human spirits.
Absolutely. And your book touched on those topics very well as well, giving people an understand of what is going on within this world and what needs to be changed. And one thing I like about what your book mentioned is the fact that in order for us to change, we pretty much have to start with self first and foremost. You know, people always try to change the other person, but you got to work on yourself in order to pretty much change. When you change yourself, then you can pretty much change other people as well. At the same time, they have to be the one willing to make that change because you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. There are some people that is just naturally they can't change. They're just stuck that way.
Yeah, that's very funny. Yeah, the thing there is that people can actually change, only that they don't want to change. And the thing is that your life itself should be a testimony to people who are around you. So you do not even need to evangelize, talk to people about what is good.
Mm,
So just relationship with them, they will feel that this is a noble spirit, and
true,
they should not have any fear with them.
true.
So the thing there is that there are people who are already stuck in what is wrong, just like somebody who is addicted to a substance. So you can hardly put the person out unless the person makes the decision.
Mm-hmm,
Every power lies with him to say, no, I will stop. And then he will now start working on how to escape that. If he fails to escape, when he passes on, he will immediately be sucked into the world where people who actually indulge in that his addiction live. That is a whole world altogether where the only people, if he's a heroin addict, he's going to do what? Find the people living in the whole world
mm-hmm.
addicts of heroin.
Yeah. You know, when you mentioned that, it made me think about the land of Nod when Abel was scared to go over there because that's where all the bad people was because of what he did. he
Yes.
was praying to God like, "Don't let me go there." So, with that being said, what do you think that people need to do, right? Because there's a lot of destruction going on right now within this world when it comes to calamities, you know, people getting killed, human trafficking, right? What do you think people need to do right now in a sense to pretty much heal themselves? What are some solutions you can give to people? Because majority of times we always talk about the problem, but we never give the solutions.
Uh, so one day, we do not have time again on earth, generally, to be frank.
Mm,
We don't have time. The time is running out, running out. And most people have no idea. The only time they will wake up is when they will not know where to run to. And that time is very, very close.
mm-hmm,
So the only thing we can do now is to tell people, go and sit one place and now do what we call sober reflection about the life you've been living on earth.
mm-hmm,
How do you examine it? Because they said an unexamined life is not worth living. An
mm-hmm,
unexamined life is not worth living. How on earth that you be living like an animal without making some reflection? You talked about earlier about meditation. That is somebody sitting down to think about himself. Okay, just imagine how ephemeral the earth life is. Very transient, that we live just for a few years in order to transition to where we will never, that has no end, and endless life. Then why will you just waste your life with just little time you have here against what should come in future?
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that people should at least reflect when they know that we are only here temporarily and we have to transition to where we are going to stay permanently. Then they ask themselves, what is it that we're supposed to do in order to be able to inherit that permanent life where things are real, where sun is real, where water you will never be thirsty, where
Mm-hmm.
nothing perishes. And here we are living in editing, and we came here with nothing. And if you see the way people are holding on to material things,
Yeah,
nobody will tell you that something is wrong. Because are you holding on to that and you want to kill yourself because of material things when you know that you did not even come here with that? And when
exactly.
you leave, you're not going to live with that.
Exactly.
So these are the things we have to tell people in order for them to start changing.
Mm-hmm.
My book, Endtime Cosmic Clock, will throw more light, especially in the time we
Put
are
it up more.
living
Put
in.
it up more. Put it up
Yeah,
more.
yeah. It will throw more light in terms of the kind of life we are living, so
Mm-hmm.
that you know that we are almost at the time when the final judgment, divine judgment, will take place. And what does that divine judgment entail? This is a time of reckoning. When the evil time, when we talk about end time, I didn't use the word end of the world. The world is not ending. It is not our time. Our time is going to end so that we can usher us into a new time.
Thank you.
The time we are living in is the Pisces age, and the Pisces age is about to end so that we can enter into the new age called Aquarius
Area.
age.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the thing. And then when we are living in Aquarius age, in the Pisces age, and we are aware that we are already at the path of transition, then what is it that we're supposed to do so that we not fall victim of what is coming? Because what is coming, it was already in the prophecy that nobody has ever seen. Such a thing has never happened on earth.
Mm-hmm.
It has never happened before, and it may not happen after this, because what is coming, the world has never seen it before. Imagine, just let me give you an instance.
Go
Imagine,
ahead.
imagine a situation whereby we are having a very huge earthquake, and many people, millions
Mm.
of people are dying at the same time. And then there is also economic crash. And then there is economic crash. And then there is also the power outage. There is also a power outage. And people cannot have food to eat. People does not have anywhere to go. They are scared. And when everything's happening at the same time and people are running helter-skelter, that is the only time they wake up. But now that everybody is sitting pretty good in their couch in the house, watching Netflix,
Mm-hmm.
reading, drinking, eating the things they like to eat in their dinner table without paying attention. When they are now doing it, when we are now telling this, they will not wake up except when something drastic start happening. And
True.
when that thing start happening, that's when they wake up.
And it's too late.
Wait, thank
It's
you.
exactly. It's too late because people always wait till the last minute to start getting their self together. But at this moment, you are having time. You have the time, but the time is running out. Don't worry about how much time you have left. Focus on making sure that every single day counts, because any second now things can go left. Because you mentioned a lot of fact that, in my understanding, I do think will happen. Where the grid can go down as well, and when the Aquarian age, yeah, what do you think actually would be happening with an Aquarian age? Because I've been doing my own independent research, and I've heard that we're already in that, the Aquarian age already, which is the age of information, where a lot of people are starting to gain a lot of more information, gain a lot of truth, and there are people out there who are, awakening, becoming more consciousness. What else you
Yes,
think is going to happen also?
yeah, the Aquarius age is the age of spiritual enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
the human spirit on earth will now become truly spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
All, I'm not saying some human spirits, all human spirits will become spiritual, truly the way we're supposed to be as human beings in the Aquarius age. So it is the age of spiritual enlightenment, the age of love. Love will pervade creation, and the reason for that is simply because the Son of the Almighty will actually be the ruler of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has said that before. And the person we are talking about is not Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ never said himself, called himself as a judge. Say, I'm not the judge of the world. It's in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And Christ said that when I go, I will send you another, the comforter,
That a
the
comforter, yeah.
judge.
Mm-hmm.
So that judge is the one I told you that is already on earth.
Mm-hmm.
So he is when he gets into his office, the time when he gets into the office, then things will start happening in the world because he will be the reason why all these things are crumbling. Everything we have on earth today is going to crumble. Our institutions, schools, economy, politics, church, all these things are going to crumble. And
Mm-hmm.
they are already crumbling. And
Mm-hmm.
even the judgment I talked about in my book, is already taking place. And how is the judgment taking place? That the people who are doing what is wrong,
Yeah.
anybody who is doing what is wrong they are going to expose the person. It's
Yeah.
going to come to the light.
Yep.
That is why you can see some of these celebrities, what they have been perpetrating in the past, all of a sudden, they are coming to the light. And
Yep.
everybody is knowing whom they truly are.
Mm-hmm.
People who think that they can do evil in the night and then keep it covered throughout. All of a sudden, a cover is being lifted up. And we are now seeing that these people are not actually the way they are.
Yeah.
So
Like,
these are the judgment of the Almighty taking place. And when the final judgment takes place, start taking place, then when you look up to the sky, you will see what appeared as the two sun. And then the other sun is the comet, the star of the Son of Man. When you see that star on earth, in the sky, know that the Son of Man has already entered his office.
yeah. Man.
Mm.
All of those things you said, I resonate with it because I've also been doing my own research, like I told you. So everything you pretty much mentioned is I understand because I'm preparing for those times at the moment, and that's why it's very important that you do get yourself together. Focus a lot more on spiritual because you are not going to be leaving with any materialistic possession when the time comes. It's going to be you by yourself, right? So you have to be prepared for those times. So get yourself together, get yourself right mentally, emotionally, spiritually, as well physically. Work on those things because if you don't, then you're going to definitely reap what you sow. You have to heal yourself as well. And the most important thing that you mentioned is love because love transcends all as well. You have to, and in order for you to pretty much like love other people, you got to give yourself that love first and love yourself. So that's how you know what to give to people also. So yeah, man, I think this pretty much like wraps it up, man. And I want you to show your book again because people need to realize that we have to start reading more. And this book, I wouldn't say this book, Ernest's book, right? The Endtime Cosmic Clock is a book that every single one of us needs to read because it's going to help you understand things from a spiritual aspect, metaphysical aspect as well. Because he did speak about like the 12 signs, which makes me like thought about the zodiacs as well when it comes to the cosmic clock as well. He also going to make you question things about the Bible that put you in a position where you're going to think more about like what is really being said in the Bible because that book is a book you need to read to really understand and decipher in and out to come to a true sense of what is really being said to prepare yourself as well. He's letting you guys know what is going on and what is going to take place in the future. So if you don't take these necessary steps right now to do so, then you're going to reap what you sow, like I said again. And Ernest's book is the book that definitely give you the information that you need because we are in the stage of information. And his book is a book that you guys need to have with you guys to read and understand and dissect it and read it over and over and over and over again because you will never fully get the concept of a book by reading it the first time. Or by reading it multiple times, you will start to see different things that is being said. So with that being said, Ernest, I thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much. Continue to do what you do. I know I, I'm gonna keep it a secret. I know you have something else in the work as well that you're gonna bring out in the future, and I'm looking forward to that as well. But if anything, thank you so much again, Ernest.
Thank you, Mr. Sekwan. And then it's a pleasure being with you today. And then I'm very impressed, a young person like you who also key into spirituality. That is so very, very good, so that we'll be able to prepare ourselves before the eventuality, before eventuality. So we always try to guide against something that is wrong. Just keep doing what is right, and then don't do what is wrong. Do not emit, pay attention to what you think, and then your words and your actions. As I'm talking to you and advising you, the same way I am also taking note of that, because all of us are in this, and we are working towards being saved saved from this earth, so that by the time we pass on, we will be uplifted instead of us being dragged down due to some bad things we've done in the past. Thank you so much. And then I look forward to having this kind of conversation with you, so that we'll be able to help some people and then get into a state where they have some time to reflect about their life and change for
Absolutely.
good. Thank you.
Absolutely, brother. Until we meet again.
All right. Thank you.